Well, now in California, the Duchess of Sussex has been making moves and she's hired a brand new chief of staff. Can you imagine needing a chief of staff?
No.
It's like being the president, isn't it?
No. When Aidan said yesterday about having a housekeeper, I was mind blown.
Yeah.
It's nothing, that's not my world. No. Anyway, but it's not the first A-lister Sarah Fosmo has worked for. She was previously Bill Gates' assistant. Wow.
Yeah, let's talk to royal commentator Richard Palmer. Richard, good morning to you. What are we to make of this?
Morning. I'm sure you do need a chief of staff. I'm sure you do. Well, it looks like a good hire on the face of it. I think there's always interest in their appointments because they've had a bit of a history, this couple, of losing staff. You know, Harry had a chief of staff, Josh Kettler, who only lasted 3 months last year. I mean, it was his trial period, and I think they explained it as they both decided it wasn't going to quite work. But I think there's also this history of when they were working members of the royal family, some of the people who worked for them found it really difficult and came out quite bruised by the whole experience. So there is this interest in what looks on the face of it to be quite a fast turnover of staff. I would say in their defence that it is quite common. I mean, I think William and Kate have had a fairly big turnover of staff in the last few years, and also the King has lost quite a few key members of staff who stayed on during the transition after the late Queen's death, but then have moved on as well. So I think it also reflects the fact that Meghan is trying to lift her career off again. She's gone back to basics, gone back to what she was doing before she got married, really, in many respects. And she needs somebody, I suppose, to help boost that part of her career.
Well, Sarah Fosmo, as we said, used to work for Bill Gates. Do you think, coming from the world of software and technology helping Mr. Gates out, do you think that will be, you know, transferable skills for her working for Meghan and Harry, or do you think it's going to be a little bit different for her?
Fresh turmoil rocks the House of Windsor. Prince Harry, reportedly full of angst, faces yet another storm, this time sparked by Meghan Markle's alleged desperate PR stunt. As tensions with King Charles deepen, the once unbreakable bond between father and son teeters on the brink of collapse. What's really behind this latest rift, and how much more can the Sussexes endure? Insiders claim relations between Harry and his father, King Charles, have reached a new low. Despite whispers of reconciliation earlier this year, trust remains fragile. The King is said to be wary of further leaks and wary of the media circus that seems to follow his son and daughter-in-law wherever they go. Close sources describe Prince Harry as restless, torn between two worlds, the royal life he left behind and the Hollywood life that's never truly fit. Friends say he's struggling with a deep sense of displacement, haunted by guilt and a lingering desire for approval from his father. Every new controversy pulls that emotional wound open again. And then there's Meghan. Reports suggest she's launched a fresh PR campaign, public appearances, polished photo ops, and carefully timed media outreach, all designed to restore the Sussex brand. But critics call it desperate, accusing her of overshadowing royal events and deepening the divide with the monarchy. Buckingham Palace, as always, remains silent. Yet royal insiders hint at growing frustration behind palace walls. The King's patience, they say, is wearing thin. While Harry wrestles with angst and loyalty, Meghan's high-visibility maneuvers may be fanning flames that Charles wishes would quietly burn out. This isn't just another family feud, it's a battle for public perception. Harry and Meghan's every move is scrutinized, dissected, and spun into global headlines. And as they struggle to define their identity outside the royal system, each misstep risks alienating them further from the very institution they still seem to crave acceptance from. Prince Harry's angst, Meghan's PR campaign, and King Charles's quiet distance, it's a royal triangle of emotion, power, and pride. The world watches, weary yet fascinated, as the Sussexes' quest for freedom continues to collide with the family they left behind. One thing is certain, in this royal drama, peace remains out of reach.
I suspect it's more about the philanthropy, and you know, Bill Gates is obviously one of the world's richest men. They really like, you know, they look up to the Obamas and the way they run private office as well, I think. So I think that'll be what it'll be about. It'll be about somebody who's got experience of dealing with philanthropy. Of course, the problem with the Sussexes is they need to bring the money in as well. And I'm not quite sure whether she's got as much experience on that front.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they have been out having a good time, celebrating Beyonce at one of her concert things. I mean,
Cowboy Carter.
Yeah. Oh, right. There you go. I mean, I have to say, it's a lovely picture. I mean, they look happy. Harry in his cowboy hat. I mean, that's, you know, they seem to be getting on all right, don't they?
That's my assessment of it. I mean, there's some of the reporting over the weekend has suggested it's all a PR show because things are not great behind the scenes. But I really don't pick that up, I have to say. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think there's a lot of angst there. There's a lot of angst from Harry, particularly about the family rift. And I mean, on that score, I mean, I think I was talking on GB News about how his remarks in that interview last Friday, was it, about how he didn't know how long the king had got left, how that would really upset the king and the palace because it undermined their message that he's getting better and all is well. But I guess what I hadn't quite appreciated is that he really doesn't know. His father hasn't shared his prognosis with him. So I think he could have chosen his words more carefully there, but he was just expressing the fact that he doesn't know what's wrong with his dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're doing okay as a couple from what I gather.
Well, and that's look. Let's be honest. That's what it's nice to see. You want them to be happy. Just maybe just slightly less controversial with it. Richard, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Now, a new study has found teenagers with excess belly fat could struggle with learning and memory more than their peers.
Well, important developmental areas of the brain were found to be larger in overweight youngsters, and scientists could say it could even impact how they regulate emotions.
I don't know how these two... Can we join our guests shortly? But I don't understand how these two things can be linked.
No,
I think I had a little bit of excess belly fat when I was at school and I did quite well. So how are they?
I don't know. It just seemed too simplistic because we've all known people at school who were larger, who were actually very, very, very bright. So I don't think the two don't necessarily correlate.
I don't think the belly fat is what's causing perhaps how do you say developmental. There we are. Maybe I do have that. But I think maybe it's all these socio-economic issues. I can't speak this morning, Stephen.
No, you do.
So let's join our guest and see what they've got to say about it. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Basha. Are these two things linked? Is an excess of belly fat perhaps hindering our children's education?
Good morning. So you're quite right. It's not the actual belly fat that is causing the brain problem. It's more that what causes the belly fat to exist is also causing issues in the brain, essentially. So the belly fat is almost a side effect, and so is the reduced learning, the memory, the mood issues that we're seeing in the brain. So it's very important to understand that those two things are correlated, and actually the problems that go behind it are what we need to target. So it's not just about, we're not just trying to body shame young people, we're actually trying to look at what are the cofactors, essentially. So that could be sleep, lack of exercise, overuse of technology, loneliness, would you believe it? And, of course, diet. Yeah.
But of course, it doesn't mean, and this is always the danger with this sort of wide statement, is it doesn't mean that everyone who is carrying more weight than they should as a school child is going to struggle. I mean, a lot of people do very well. The two aren't inextricably linked.
So we have to be clear that I think we need to always aim for the best health outcomes for young people, especially, just because it's at that age group where we can make the most changes. And we do know that the obesity in young people, in adolescents and even children is going up massively, especially in this country. And that speaks for something. And we need to protect our young people and adolescents. Obviously, we don't want to turn around and put pressure on them. And by all means, we want to, not prepare perpetuate body shaming, especially. We also know eating disorders can be huge in young people also. So it's a case of enabling them to actually have the best environment to grow and learn. So what can we do to support them with not reaching the point where they have belly fat? And it's got to be a multi-pronged thing that we have to aim for.
So this is a situation, ultimately, Basha, where the headline essentially has run away with itself. It's conflating the two and making it sound like belly fat is an issue for our children's education, when in reality, it's a matter of actually we need to be encouraging healthier habits, a better diet, more sleep, as you mentioned, loneliness, for example. Is it healthy, though, for these headlines to suggest, like you said, potential for body shaming, potential for, you know, parents getting the wrong impression? Is that what the real issue here is?
I mean, everything has a positive and a negative side. If any parent looks at this and thinks, oh my gosh, I'm seeing my child is getting a little bit podgier around the middle, I need to do something, and kicks them into action. And same with children, you know, it's not a bad idea to inform them and educate them about diet and exercise. And it's good to know about those things. And I will say, as a young person myself, there was a lot of body shaming, even though I wasn't even, you know, I was a young person, but if you remember 10 years ago with all the magazines, with having all the celebrities and how they had the ideal body type that young people were already, like, you know, kind of getting exposed to without necessarily the scientific information behind it. We didn't know that some of these celebrities were probably, you know, heavily influenced by drugs and things like that. And that was why they had that body type. So actually, I don't think it's a bad thing that this article is out there. And I don't think this type of article is necessarily the worst of the evils when it comes to things like body shaming. I think social media and so much out there is like, especially the conversation around Ozempic, you know, and celebrities using that. I think that is already there and that is already influencing our young people. And actually, something like this is probably going to inform and educate our young people, possibly to kick into action, seeing, you know, if they are holding a bit extra fat, seeing what they can do to then kind of reverse some of that changes.
OK.